Hey there, welcome back to Unshakable. This is the confidence series for women in tech. If you're joining me live, drop a hello in the comments so I know you're here. And if you've been with us for session 1 and 2, I'd love to get started with it. Just tell me, what is the biggest shift so far? Have you had a go at anything? Have you tried anything in the last couple of weeks? How have you got on? I really want this series, and this is the third in the series. We have a number 4 as well in 2 weeks. I want this series to change things for you. I'm grandiose. I want to say this should change your life. I do think confidence is a journey. And I truly hope that this series, if you're listening to it, that this series is the game changing start for you. If you haven't found that some other place in your life, let's make this series the thing that makes you more confident. And I say that as somebody who had confidence issues for so long in her life. I came across as confident. A lot of people thought I was very confident, but I didn't feel that inside at all. I had chronic anxiety for many, many years. And now, benefit of hindsight, I now realize I probably should have had treatment for my anxiety. It was that bad. I don't have anxiety anymore. So, and I've never had, professional treatment for anxiety, whatever that means. Um, I'm not saying you shouldn't, by the way. I actually think if you need help, get help. I wish I had known that that was something I should get help for. But I want you to know that we can change things. That's why I tell you these stories. I want you to know it can be different. So if you're joining me here live today, drop in the chat, give me a wave so I know you can hear me. I know you're here. It always helps because every now and then I get a message that was like, we couldn't hear you. And I'm like, I've just talked to myself for half an hour. So drop in the chat, let me know. And if this is the first time you're joining me today, hello, thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Toni Collis. I'm an executive coach for women in tech, a board advisor, a former tech executive myself. And my work is all about helping brilliant women just like you close the gap between how capable they are and how confident they're actually seen so we can thrive. We are visible. We are the influential leaders. We are changing the world. My personal mission in life, the reason I became an executive coach, other than I love coaching, is because I fundamentally believe the tech industry needs to do better by the human race. And the easiest way to do that is to have more diversity in the leadership level. And, quick win for diversity is women. We are 51% of the human race. We are the easiest group. I'm doing low hanging fruit here by just getting more women into the leadership team. This makes better technology. This serves the human race better. That is what I'm all about. And it starts with helping women just like you. So let me know if you're here. Now, let me just set the stage a little bit. As I said, this is the third of 3 sessions. In session 1, we talked about the confidence gap, why competence, why how awesome you are is not enough alone. The small shifts that you need to make to go from competence and changing that perception so you have that confidence. That's what we talked about in the first session, which is now 3 weeks ago. Then last week, we had session 2 where we talked about owning the room, the language, the body, the voice shifts that help you sound confident before you even feel it. And today we're stress testing those tools, everything we've learned so far, and we're going to add to it. Because what really defines leadership confidence isn't about how you show up when things are easy, is about how you handle yourself under pressure. Whether that's tough questions you weren't expecting, that blank moment in front of senior stakeholders, the slip up that makes your heart pound and your brain spiral, whether that's a big slip up or a small slip up, these are the moments that people remember you for. Here's the truth. If you stay calm, recover fast, and keep control, you will stand out as the leaders, I should say. You will stand out as one of the leaders that others trust in the toughest of situations. And one of the most profound and shaping moments in my leadership career as a techie myself was when I was in middle management, and I messed up big time. I didn't just mess up. I cost the organization a lot of money and put us in a potential legal battle, though thankfully it didn't come to that in the end. But how I handled it, how I moved through that situation, even though I was utterly terrified, I thought this is the end of my career. That actually shaped the leader I am today. And it also ensured that as an organization, we sailed through the situation. In fact, the moment I thought I'd be fired, I genuinely thought that this is it. But by the end, I had shown the leaders around me that I was prepared to own my mistakes. One of them actually said, that's a rarity. I think that talked more about the organization than about me. But I was prepared to own the mistake, even though I was terrified of what that was going to cause my job. I solved the situation. I took ownership of the situation. I did get help, but I owned it. And I did not hide my head in the sand, which I think I would have done a few years before that. I put in place procedures as a result of this to make sure that nobody else, including myself, would ever make the same mistake again. That was only because possible because I kept my cool. And that's the kind of confidence. I didn't feel confident in the moment, but I dealt with it. I dealt with that deep seated fear that I had. And that's what we're talking about today, handling the heat, staying cool when the stakes are really high. And we're going to talk about how to calm your nervous system in real time, how your brain, your body, your breath work, all of that can calm you down, literally bring your nervous system into a better place so you can do something useful with your brain. How you're going to buy some time to stop you fumbling when you're on the spot, and how to turn mistakes or blank moments into moments that actually increase your credibility. So let's make this interactive. Drop a on fire emoji in the comments if you've ever felt your heart race or your mind go blank under pressure. Even if you're watching the replay, drop a fire in the comments. Whether that's a tough question in a meeting, a misstep, or something else, who has felt that? I mean, who hasn't felt that? If you've ever had that heart racing, mind go blanking moment where you think, oh my gosh, this is it. Let me know in the comments if that's you. So let's start with why these moments under pressure feel so overwhelming, and why even the most senior of us can struggle in this situation. And I've seen senior executives struggle in this situation. The benefit of my job is I can tell you, I have seen an example of everything at this point. I've coached over 1,000 women. I'm probably near 1,500 at this point. I probably need to update that number. And I have seen it all. I can show you an example of everything. I will often say to my clients when they say, well, what do you think might happen in this situation? I was like, well, here are the things that might happen. Honestly, I can't give you a probability because I've seen it all. Anything could happen. What we've got to do is mitigate, like understand in your situation what's the most likely to mitigate. So when you are put on the spot, your brain registers the situation as a threat. This is your nervous system responding. This isn't about competence. It's about your nervous system. So in the same way that when you face the lion, you think, and it's not in a nice, safe environment like on on tour in a safari park. If you're stood on the savannah facing a lion, or a lion has escaped from the zoo, and you're stood in the middle of the street and there's a lion there. Why do we always choose lions? And your brain goes, whew. Your heart is going to race. Your breath is going to go shallow. Your voice is going to start shaking. Your mind will go completely blank. It's not a weakness, it is biology. It's a safety mechanism. Your body is switching from thinking into fight, flight, or freeze mode. It's saying, we need to stop worrying about like the problem we're solving and get the hell out of here, or freeze so we're not prey, or fight to fight this thing off. It's doing that. The only thing your brain is trying to solve for in that moment is, do we fight? Do we flee? Or do we freeze? That's the only thing it's doing. But this is the problem with when it shows up at work, because at work there is no lion, no real physical threat, but it can feel like it. In those moments, the people around you aren't just listening to your words, they're reading your response. They're deciding, does she stay composed under pressure? Can she be trusted with bigger responsibilities? Do I feel confident following her lead when things get tough? And some of their reading is unconscious. Much of it is conscious, but a lot of what they're doing is building this impression of you, even if they aren't aware that they are doing so. This is where reputations are made and when they can quietly stall. Because people judge more in stressful situations. Do they trust? Do they follow? Do they want to be following you? How you behave makes all the difference. So let me give you a quick example. One of my clients was presenting to her executive team just actually a couple of weeks ago, and she got a question she didn't expect. So of course, a few minutes after, we dropped on a call and had a chat about it. She had panicked. She started talking faster and faster. And one of the things we've been working on was noticing this behavior in herself. So I'm so proud that she noticed. She panicked. She talked faster and faster. And she said, eventually, I'll get back to you. Now, I don't think "I'll get back to you" is such a bad phrase, but the problem was her boss told her later on that she came across as nervous and unprepared. And she's like, oh, yes, I really was. She knew the answer. It's the thing. She knew the answer to the problem, but in that moment, her nervous system hijacked her delivery. Her nervous system stopped her brain thinking. It went from thinking to, how do I get out of this dangerous situation? It wasn't about actually answering the question, which she knew the answer to. I'm so proud of her because she was able to tell me exactly what happened. And I do think half the battle is having the self-awareness, as you'll hear in a little while. Noticing is the biggest hurdle. If you can notice, you can hack your nervous system. Another client of mine has noticed that when she's under pressure, she rambles. She's actually job interviewing at the moment, which is one of the most pressurized situations. And she gives too much information, bless her heart. We've been prepping for this, and she does fine in the prep sessions. And then she just goes off piste. She misses the main point, or she says it, but it gets lost in all the other noise. The good thing is she's realized she's doing this, and she's realized this was why she was getting sidelined in her previous role. We knew that she was one of those people that had that phrase, you need to work on your executive presence, which is why she came to work with me. And then now she's looking for a new role. We now know what's going on. Her nervous system is stopping her composing her thoughts in high stakes situations. It's providing the wrong information. She needs to learn how to compose herself, get in control of her nervous system so that she can provide the right level of information and response in these moments. And it's actually these two ladies is one of the reasons why I put together this training. This is training I have internally in my programs, and I thought I need to refresh it. What a great way of refreshing it is to give it to the world, right? They get coaching as well, but I thought, why not give this training? This is the exact training my clients get. Here's the important thing though. For all of us, from junior managers to CEOs, we feel the same. Those two women, me, we feel the same in those moments. The difference is that great leaders know how to manage it in real time. So let me ask you this. Have you ever left a meeting replaying the high pressure moment in your head for hours afterwards? Drop a yes in the comments if that's you. Again, even if you're watching on the replay, tell me you're watching. Tell me that like this is resonating with you, because today we're going to talk about how to get out of those spirals once I've had some matcha tea. How to start handling the heat in a way that actually builds your credibility instead of undermining it. So now we know what the heat is, what is really going on in our nervous system. It's going into overdrive. Let's talk about what we can do. As I said, this starts with noticing, but here's the secret. You can't think your way out of fight or flight. You have to use your body, your brain, your breath work. You have to calm down your nervous system, and you have to train your brain that you're okay. So yes, you do some thinking at the end, but if you just start thinking, it's not going to work. So let's break it down. There's a 3-step process: notice, pause, reframe. I teach this all the time. Notice, pause, reframe. Notice, pause, reframe. Write that down. Write it on a sticky note and shove it on your computer. Notice, pause, reframe. Let me take this step by step. The first thing is you've got to notice this is happening in the moment. It's not okay to know, well, it is okay. If you're noticing later on in the day, oh gosh, that was terrible, or even just 5 minutes later, oh my gosh, that happened, I feel awful, I feel sick now, that's too late. Now, if you do notice at all, there are some things I do executive presence wise where noticing is actually hugely difficult because it's not something that's even on somebody's radar. But this is nervousness. This comes in, the anxiety, the creeping, gnawing feeling. You are going to notice that at some point. What we want to do is bring it right into the moment, though. So pay attention to how your body, how it feels. The fact that your stomach feels like it just dropped into the floor, and that's how I feel. The sweaty palms, the racing heart. Some of my clients get tension across their head or achy shoulders. Like, what is it that your body does? What is the physical experience of fight or flight for you? And be ready to notice this. It's so, so important. What is the physical experience? So you can notice it, because you've got to notice before you can do the work to cool down your nervous system. So then number 2, pause. There are 2 elements to pausing, but the goal here is to give your body time to calm down, because when you're in fight or flight, you are pumping adrenaline around your body. Your body is going, bad situation, pump, 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 pump. You're going to keep producing it. What we're trying to do in this pause moment is distract yourself enough that you stop producing adrenaline. Because if you stop producing adrenaline, it dissipates actually very quickly. Somewhere between, I used to say it was 90 seconds. I think it can be as little as 45. and as high as 2 minutes. 45 seconds to 2 minutes seems to be what really works. I actually, if you do this, it dissipates even faster. I'm just not necessarily saying you should do that in person, but if you're using your muscles, the adrenaline will go away faster. So what you're trying to do is pause enough to stop producing the adrenaline. There are two great ways to do this. I like to do a bit of both. The fastest is breath work. This is the fastest reset. If you are breathing slowly, your body stops you being in danger. So I've actually just started wild swimming in the sea here in Scotland. The sea is cold, even in the summer. And I've learned that one of the things you should do, rather than going, oh, this is so cold, is you should deep breathe. And your body will go, this is uncomfortable, but I'm safe. You actually get used to the water faster if you do deep breaths. Your body, when you breathe shallow, it's reinforcing you're in danger, you're in danger. So what we want to do is slow our breathing down. We're going to do box breathing. So together, ladies, inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Even one slow exhale. Exhaling is the most important thing here. Even one slow sends a signal to your brain that you are safe. This slows your heart rate, steadies your voice, and clears the fog. You are literally letting go of the adrenaline. By the way, it's one of the best ways to help you with sleep at night. If you breathe slower, your body will actually, I think it produces more melatonin. I'm not an expert at sleep, should be, because I'm terrible at it. I should get better at it. But yeah, it helps you get to sleep. The other thing with breathing techniques, actually, I use this between meetings. If you follow me for a while, you know I'm a big believer in reset between every meeting. Don't take one meeting to the next one. Hold space, don't carry is another one of my favorite phases. And I use breathing, just 30 seconds of box breathing between calls, between meetings. I turn up to that next conversation without the luggage, without the baggage of the previous call. So great one. Breath work is number 1 for pausing. Number 2 for pausing is grounding yourself. So this is great because you can do this very easily in a meeting room in person. So when we're under pressure, we tend to fidget, we tend to shrink, we tend to cross arms and legs, all signs of tension, and reinforcing that tension in your body. So you're displaying it outwards and you're reinforcing it inwards. The fidgeting in particular. So the fidgeting, as I said, if you were doing the right thing, it would get rid of the adrenaline, but it's probably not a good thing in person. If you're off camera, just put your arms down here and like try not to hit a cat like I just did. And that can potentially help. But actually, one of the best things to do, and this works in person as well, make sure both feet are planted firmly on the ground. Sit tall, shoulders back, relax your jaw, unclench your hands. This posture tells your body you're steady, you belong here. And bonus, people watching you will feel steadier as well. So even doing it on camera, right now, my feet are flat on the floor. I do tend to cross my legs when I'm coaching. When I'm doing public speaking like this, I try and have my feet flat on the floor. And, I try and sit straight, although I do move forward quite a bit, and roll my shoulders back, sit tall, chin up, but relax the jaw and unclench my hands. I'm quite a demonstrative person with my hands, but it does help. So it puts other people to relax, but it also relaxes you. So the whole point of part 2 is we're pausing enough to calm ourselves down, to distract our brain from reproducing the hormones that are saying flight or flight. Because then we come to step 3, reframe. This is the most powerful thing. But if you don't do 1 and 2, you can't do 3. There is no point in jumping to reframe if you haven't calmed yourself down first. This is the thing that makes the calm stick. If you don't do number 3, as soon as you stop doing the box breathing and start thinking again, it's just going to go whoosh straight back up. So this is the point where you have a conversation with yourself. You want to do things like replace, oh no, I'm being tested, with, this is a chance to contribute. I don't need to be perfect. I need to be clear. This is a conversation, not an exam. You need to reframe the situation to stop the spiral before it takes over. Now, that's hard to do. In that moment where I realized I'd messed up so badly, I thought I was going to lose my job. What the reframe I used in that moment, I think it was the first time I really reframed. I said to myself, the situation needs me to own this. I'm the one to fix this situation. I'm not going to run away. That wasn't the best reframe ever. But what it said is, I need to own up to this. I need to own this situation. I was convincing myself I didn't care about it wasn't I didn't care about the consequences, but I knew I needed to do this thing. So you need to practice reframes, but certainly when there's a little bit of panic about being asked a question, just saying, this is my chance to contribute. I don't need to be perfect. Little note in your head. One of the things I love to do with clients, if we've got standard things that are coming up, we put on sticky notes on their screen, a little reframe, so they don't have to think of them in that stressful moment. But those 3 pieces, notice, pause, reframe, that is your first line of defense in the high stakes situations. When I figured this out, it was like a game changer to me and then to my coaching clients. Honestly, it's so important. Notice, pause, reframe. If you do nothing else, this is the one. This is the one that allows you to have executive presence. This is the one that allows you to step into your full competence. This is the one that allows you to do uncomfortable things. Everything else I talk about in all the work I do, networking, job interviewing, executive presence, good communication, having hard conversations, strategy work, everything else I do, if you can notice, pause, reframe, you can get most of the way there without me. I just put myself out of job. Notice, pause, reframe. You can do so much. So I want you to know that this is about practice. Practice before you need them. Try grounding yourself before every meeting, even the routine ones. Give yourself a good stretch. Practice that slow exhale while waiting for Zoom to load. Build the muscle memory so that when this hits in a hard way, your body knows what to do. It's not surprising. Let me know in the comments, which are you going to start with? As I said, you need all 3, but are you going to start with noticing, breath work and grounding, or grounding, I should say, or reframing? Where are you going to start? Let's get a practice in place. Okay, now let's talk about buying time, because to calm your nervous system is one piece, but let's be honest, even with the best breathing and grounding, sometimes your brain just needs a few extra seconds to catch up. So the other thing I want to talk about is buying time tactics. That's where these come in. Because the mistake most of us make under pressure is we panic. We panic fill the silence. I do this. We rush into an answer, we stumble, we overtalk, just like the client I was telling you about earlier, or lose the thread. And that undermines our credibility. Instead, confident leaders pause. We don't need to fill the space. We use simple phrases to create space while sounding authoritative. So here are a few you can borrow from me. To buy some time. And by the way, put all these in writing. And if you want these on a cheat sheet, let me know. Buy some time with, that's a great question. Let me frame it this way. Before I answer, can I clarify what's more important here? Here's how I'm thinking about that. Let me take 30 seconds to gather my thoughts so I can give you the clearest answer. Those are all great ways to just buy a few moments, because while you're saying those phrases, your brain can be thinking. One thing is, I don't know if you've ever done any public speaking work, but one thing you're taught as a public speaker is how to think ahead of where you're speaking right now. So you speak, but think ahead. This is what stand-up comedians do. It's a real talent. I've never fully figured it out, but I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at like holding the future in my brain and problem solving that and the words I'm speaking right now. It's in, in the way I think of it as a computer person. It's threads swapping in and out. Our brains are linear, but we can have multiple threads, so we swap threads in and out. Apologies. I am there's still a little bit of a geek in me, even though I'm an executive coach and I couldn't write a line of code anymore. So those are phrases to buy some time, but you can also do movements to buy some time. Take a sip of water. It's natural and it's confident pausing. Jot a note down on your pad before speaking. Lean back slightly, nod, then lean forward like you're ready to answer. You may well have seen other folks do this. I see lots of people do this. They're confident in their silence. But those of us who aren't confident with silence, myself included, we're like, it's really weird when they lean back, nod, and then lean forward. But what they're doing is they're buying themselves some time, because what you're doing is you're saying, I'm in control of this room. You're showing intention and not panic. and you're giving your brain those all important seconds to find clarity. I had a client recently who started using the phrase, here's why I'm thinking about that. Every time she was asking a big question, she said, I feel like I just say it all the time. But she was getting great feedback because it bought her space. It bought her the positioning of a strategic thinker, not just somebody who's responding. Prior to this, she'd had a bit of a reputation as somebody who would just blurt stuff out, and then she was like, I shouldn't speak anymore. But as soon as she started saying, here's how I'm thinking about it, I think it took her boss like a couple of weeks to get some behavior, to give her some feedback that she was coming across as more decisive, calmer under pressure. She doesn't think she's saying anything strategically different. I don't know, I'm not in the room with her, but just saying, here's how I'm thinking about that, she is coming across more thoughtful. I suspect she is saying different things because she's slowing her brain down, but that's a different issue. So don't be afraid of the pause. Pausing isn't weakness, it's authority. I'd love to hear in the comments, quick check-in for us all. Which of these buy time phrases do you feel is most natural for you? Is it saying, before I answer, can I clarify? Here's how I'm thinking about it. Let me take 30 seconds to gather my thoughts. Or that's a great question. Let me frame it in this way. What phrase works for you? Drop 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat. I would love to know. And I want you to commit to trying one this week. Okay. Now let's talk about something every single one of us has done, making a mistake in the moment. For most of us, mistakes feel like the end of our credibility. We blank, we misspeak, we share the wrong data, we trip over our words, and we spiral. Here's the truth. Mistakes don't ruin our credibility. How we handle them does. And that story I told about me at the beginning, that was a huge mistake. The biggest mistake I think I've ever made professionally, by quite a country mile, in fact. It was a huge mistake, but how I handled it, that was my credibility. The fact I came forward, the fact I dealt with it, the fact that I owned it. I'd made other mistakes before. I'd learned how to own things earlier on in my career. I remember a very early piece of feedback when I was just a summer job when I was a student, and I was working in a lawyer's firm, and pieces of paper went missing all the time. All the time. A piece of paper for something I was handling had gone missing. I genuinely do not know what happened to it, but I said, I'll own that. I'll make sure that we get a copy of it. And the boss of the shift was like, nobody does that, because we're all students, right? Nobody wanted to own anything. I was like, well, somebody's got to fix it. I'll just fix it. Owning stuff really makes a difference. But here's the truth. Mistakes themselves don't ruin your credibility. So let's break this down. First of all, the situation where you go blank. Most people panic, ramble, or go silent. Which one of those do you do? Panic, ramble, or go silent? But the authority move is you name it and you reset. You say something like, let me pause and reframe that. Or give me a moment to collect my thoughts. This shows composure under pressure and not weakness. Okay, situation number 2, when you have misspoken in some way. What most people do is we try and cover it up and keep going fast. Whether the misspokenness is, you've offended somebody, you've got the wrong date, you've said something really wrong or imprecise or the wrong thing, but you misspoke. The authority move in this situation, rather than keep covering up, is to correct it cleanly. Say, correction, what I meant was. Literally, correction, what I meant was. Or let me be precise here. Owning it signals clarity and confidence. Not, oh gosh, they didn't understand what I said, or I shouldn't have said it that way. Own the situation. Okay, the third common scenario is when you've got the wrong data. What most of us do is waffle or make excuses. In fact, the wrong data might not be the only thing here. Just anyway you find yourself making excuses. The authority move in this situation is to back off to the bigger picture. You anchor out. So you've heard me talk in previous sessions about anchoring to the bigger picture. This is one of them. I'll confirm the exact number and follow up. What matters here is a trend we're seeing. You'll confirm, so you're saying, hey, I will get to this, but you're anchoring up to the bigger picture, the trend. Or let me check in after the meeting. What's key is anchoring outwards. This shifts the focus from the slip to the impact. I had a client recently blank in front of her CTO. Instead of panicking, she said, let me pause and reset here. I want to give you the most useful answer. And the CTO gave her the feedback that this was the most confident she'd ever seen my client because she's no longer tried to panic her way through it. Recovery can actually build your authority. It shows you're calm, you're self aware, and you're trustworthy under pressure. When you go quiet, when you go rigid, when you try and rush through something, you are no longer trustworthy. You're no longer calm. So let me ask you, which feels most relevant to you? Blanking, misspeaking, or the wrong data? Drop 1, 2, or 3. Blanking, misspeaking, or data. Because it's never about making no mistakes ever again. It's about how you show up to lead through those mistakes. All right, let's pull all of this together. We covered a lot here, so let's just recap a few things. First of all, remember what's going on here is your nervous system is heating up. You're going to feel the heat in your body. It's its job, it's biology, but you can calm it down with notice, pause, reframe. So, second, instead of filling those panic moments, use buying time tactics that make you sound thoughtful and in control. Whether it's phrases or actions, a phrase or a sip of water, buy just a few seconds. That's all you need. You're a clever cookie. Okay. And the third, make sure that you remember your mistakes. Don't kill your credibility. How you handle, how you fumble, how you recover is actually the thing that makes a difference. It can actually build trust and authority because every human makes mistakes. Here's the biggest takeaway. Confidence isn't about never feeling nervous. It's about showing you can lead through your nerves. And the leaders who are remembered are the ones who stay composed when others crack. So what do you do with all of this? Well, the first thing is I don't want you focusing on mastering everything we've said all at once. As I've said in previous sessions, pick one thing and use it in your next high stakes moment. Maybe you've got something later today or on Monday morning. Let's start rewiring your brain and building the habit of confidence in pressure moments. Tell me in the comments, what are you going to practice first? Is it breath work? Is it buying time? Is it the recovery? Drop it below. I want you to see you committing in the coming week to going into a high stakes meeting and deliberately being self-aware, because great awareness is the starting point, and then change the perception of yourself by using a technique, which I tell you, they're tried and trusted. They're not rocket science. Your technical work is so much harder than this stuff, but you do have to do this stuff because calming our bodies down is work. So let's wrap this up. Just a couple of summary points. The truth of the matter is that in pressure moments that feel really intense, you need to work on calming your nervous system in real time. That is the most important thing here. You can use simple buy time tactics that keep you in control while you're on the spot as you're bringing your nervous system into control. And you can turn mistakes and blanks into true authority moments that actually build your credibility. Here's what I want you to remember. Confidence isn't about feeling the heat. It's about knowing how to handle it. That's what makes you the leader that others look to in the toughest of moments. That's what means you're told you have executive presence. That's why you get the promotions, because they know you can deal with the tough moments. If you'd like a cheat sheet on this work, by the way, drop me a DM on LinkedIn or drop me a message on YouTube with confidence cheat sheet, and I'll get that over to you. But if you are ready to accelerate this work and really build unshakable confidence, this is exactly what I do with my clients in leadership confidence coaching. In our one-on-one work, we embed these skills so they become second nature. So you don't just know what to do, you do it automatically when the stakes are high. So if you'd like to explore that with me, DM me and let's book a leadership confidence coaching conversation. It's a complimentary strategy session where we talk about your confidence issues, put in place a bit of a game plan, and we can chat about what support would look like. But all you might need is just a game plan. That might be all you need. And if today is something you think a friend needs to hear, do her and the world of tech a favor, because we need more confident women out there. Send her the link to this replay, because let's change confidence for all of us. But one more thing. In 2 weeks, we are diving into the fourth and final live stream in this series, Confidence in Conflict. How we stand firm without burning bridges, because some of the highest pressure moments you'll face are about presentations or questions or pushback. How to disagree with your boss without getting fired. how to hold your ground without losing respect from your peers and skip levels or immediate team members. You need the confidence tools to do that. So mark your calendar, same time, same place, 2 weeks' time. Before we close, I'd love to know, what is the one thing you're going to practice this week to handle the heat differently? Drop it in the comments so I can cheer you on. And thank you for joining me today. Remember, you've got this, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for session